Welcome to The Hooch, where the only place more messed up than your hosts is the barracks on a Friday night or the VA. So get ready to stand by for your weekly dose of toilet humor and shenanigans from your fellow veterans, Coy Mack and Michael Grizzled Grunt Harris.
Hey, and welcome back to The Hooch, everybody. Got Coy Mack here and Michael Harris, as always, chilling in our houses because the world is on fucking fire. This weekend, we had another Portland riot, obviously, because there's always a fucking riot going on, and this dude lit himself on fire.
Yes! He's got the hot foot. Look.
A fucking idiot. Like you even hear that in the fucking video. It's hilarious.
They're telling him to roll.
Stop, drop, and roll.
God. Stop, drop, and roll. Take your shoes off.
Okay, so
that dude got some serious third-degree burns, though. I tell you that.
I tell you, and it's the funniest thing ever because, like, if depending on how they made the Molotov cocktail, there are one or two things that are happening. Either they made it properly, and it wouldn't matter if you fucking dropped and rolled, or they made it improperly, then it might work. So I mean, you might as well drop and do it because And technically, in a Molotov cocktail, if you make it the proper way, it's filled with napalm, which sticks to kids. So
yeah, a little bit of styrofoam and all that other stuff.
Yeah, if you do it properly. But
yeah, that guy was on fire. It was glorious. I loved it.
I'm tired.
God don't like ugly, man.
No, it doesn't. It's it's the fucking Darwin Awards out there right now. I'm seriously concerned about the future of the country with the amount of dumb shit that people keep doing right now. I actually had something I was going to pull up. There it is. That's the one I needed. So I'm going to get rid of that video. But so there is I think it was the Atlantic? I don't remember. No, Washington Post. So this was from the Washington Post. They were talking about what could happen if the election night sparks a huge fucking issue. And the stupidest thing about this whole bit, get down to it, was this section right here. With the exception of a big Biden win scenario, which are exercises, because this is like a think tank, they did this whole thing, reached a brink of catastrophe with a massive disinformation campaign, violence in the streets, and constitutional impasse. In two scenarios where there's a Trump win and extended uncertainty, there are no agreements on the winner by Inauguration Day and no consensus on the candidates who should assume ability to binding commands to the military and nuclear launch code. And this whole article basically comes down to them saying that unless Biden wins by an absolute landslide, that we know that he wins, everybody's fucked. there's no better way to put it.
Kamala Harris said it last week, where she said it's never going to stop. The violence is going to continue. So this is their plan, man. Their plan is to bring down the institution that we know as America. Period. It doesn't matter if Trump wins. It doesn't matter if Biden wins. At the end of the day, their goal is to bring down what we know as America today. It started under Obama with the whole hope and change thing. He was going to, fundamentally change America. He started that change. So, I mean, this is their plan. Well, it's just something we have to be able to freaking, put our mouthpieces in and go with the punches, because that's what's going to end up happening.
And that's kind of my big worry is the fact of what happens if nobody agrees to who won. Like we've already seen this with the Democrats. They've always said that Trump stole 2016, right? It should have been Hillary Clinton's across the board. That's what the polls told us. The polls told us she won. Why isn't she president? Because she was a fucking shitty candidate. Same thing with Joe Biden. He's a shitty candidate. You keep weakening and burning this dude who can't fucking talk.
I mean,
and hoping it works.
I mean, the Democrats had it out for Trump in the beginning, and it made it worse when he actually won, because he never dropped out, even though celebrities, predominant freaking politicians, the media, athletes, all these so-called thinking they're important people were telling him pretty much to drop out, and they were laughing at him. It was a slap in the face when he won. it has nothing to do with Donald Trump's policies, because actually his policies are good policies. You can't name one policy that was really a shitty policy. Really.
Well, I mean, most people would say build the wall was a shitty policy because making Mexico pay for it.
The wall got built way before Trump was in office. He's pretty much, repairing the wall. So
he's just building more of the wall.
Yeah, he's just building more of it. So at the end of the day, we knew from the day he won that it started with Russiagate and all this other shit. So just imagine, if he wins in 2020, which he will. We all know it. It's inevitable.
I think everybody knows it by now.
And Bill, what's his name? Joe Biden doesn't have a fucking chance in hell. What they're counting on is Joe Biden winning, and then he goes and gets some type of health check or something, and they deem him,
unfit for office after 2 years.
For office. Yeah, which they could do. They can deem him unfit. Kamala Harris takes over. Then her vice becomes the Speaker of the House, which it won't be Nancy Pelosi. So which would be a real kick in the balls is if Republicans took over the House. Guess who her freaking, who her fucking vice would have to be, Yeah. So, I mean, people just got to understand that whether Trump wins or Biden wins, there's going to be some real shit going down in this country. And like I say, put your mouthpiece in and be ready to do what you got to do to defend yourself in this country. Either you're going to stand by and be a fucking coward, or you're going to do what you got to do. That's true patriots do.
That's kind of what's happening right now, especially in Portland. The Proud Boys are coming back to Portland at the end of September, I believe, right before the election. And I personally think that's a mistake for them to do, because it's just going to fuel the anti-right fucking narrative that the media always says, that they're dangerous individuals, they're white supremacists, and they're coming to your towns to destroy everything, even though the left and everything has been burning your cities down for the last 3 months. But no, God forbid the Proud Boys walk around with fucking flags and shit.
You've ever seen a conservative group or a right-leaning group go into a restaurant and pretty much shut down people's eating, like it happened in New York the other day?
Never.
That's just not like, I don't agree with you. That's some brown shirt Bolshevik, Nazi shit that they're doing.
It's communism and fascism together.
Yeah, that's true fascism right there. Yeah. That's what fascists do. Fascists shut you down. They cancel culture. Cancel culture is a form of fascism.
Oh yeah, it is.
Scaring people through political gain is a form of fascism, or domestic terrorism. So what they're doing, they think they're fighting for a good cause, but they're not. They are the true fascists. And what did Ronald Reagan say? He said if something was to come to our country, it'd be
if communism was to come to our country, it would be under the guise of socialism.
Or liberalism. The liberals have always been the true communists, the true socialists, the true fascists. They hate to admit it, but that's their MO. It's always been their MO. Look at freaking Operation Paperclip, right? Who was the president under Operation Paperclip?
I'm not sure. Who was it?
Right after World War II. Oh, fuck, I forget his name. Whatever. But, they brought all these Nazis over that we were fighting against, that we hated.
Nazis. Oh, you're talking about the fucking Russian scientists that they brought for the...
No, the German scientists. The German scientists.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
So they brought them all over, and I'm pretty sure, and the left had a fucking key part in that. Mm-hmm. Why would you bring over all these fascists to our country to teach our country about science and shit? You know what I mean? So,
okay, but because they're smart, and they're the ones that had the rocket technology at the time. So like the US
it had nothing to do with them being smart. It had nothing to do with that. They brought a certain ideology with them too. That was transferred over to our colleges. That was transferred in our textbooks. That was transferred in a lot of stuff. So it's a lot bigger than they brought science and taught us how to make rockets. We were already headed to the moon long before that. They had nothing to do with that, because if they really were that smart, they would have went to the moon long before we did.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the order that Trump did recently, where he is ending the diversity programs and the federal government, like agencies, like military, all that stuff? So like they're basically ending the whole idea of like the diversity training, which is really the guise for critical race theory. And if you have no idea what critical race theory is, you should really look it up. It's absolutely insane if you actually read what critical race theory actually is. And it is some of the most racist ideology that the left actually has. And that's kind of the big issue today, is that the left pretends that they are about diversity and all these things, and that
they're not.
Whiteness is inherently evil. But the thing is that they believe critical race theory to the point that they believe that everything is created by white people and that they are in a superior in a way to everyone else because they have all of these privileges. They have this whiteness as one of the things they bring up is whiteness as like property. Right, this is the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life, where the white skin that some Americans possess is akin to owning a piece of property. Right, so if you're white, you automatically have this thing where your whiteness gives you inherent privilege, which is what white supremacists say all the fucking time. Like, how is that any different than what the Klan says and what neo-Nazis say? There's no difference in that.
Yep. The Klan, Black Lives Matter, the Black Panthers, the KKK, or the neo-Nazis, they all have one commonality, and that's supremacy. It comes in certain colors because one's trying to fight against the other for power. Black supremacists, which come under the name of Black Lives Matter and Black Panthers, try to say it's because of institutional racism or, equality. That's not true. At the end of the day, just like a good football team or any good sport, everyone picks their team, and one team's trying to be in power.
That's tribalism. So, that's just like inherent in human psychology, and like what we do is sociology. If you look at it that way, as sociology says, is like people group together with things that are more like themselves. That's what the animal kingdom does too. If you don't, that's why you don't see fucking pigs with cheetahs.
That's true.
They don't fucking do that.
But humans are a little different breed. Yes, we have tribalistic ways.
Yeah.
But some of us free thinkers, our tribalism, and our tribalism is in a different form. So I think people like you and I are more drawn to people with the same thought.
Yeah,
has nothing to do with,
ideology-driven tribalism, and that's kind of the difference. Is that we see the evolution of things. Is that tribalism isn't based on race lines anymore, at least according to the Democrats it is, or the liberalists or these other neo-liberal types, that everything is based on race, whereas like conservatives are like, no, I mean, everybody's good people or they're bad people, they like different things, we like different things, we just want the government to stay out of our fucking business. That's it. That's all we really want. It's like, let me keep my property taxes for what I want to fucking use for. That's
exactly.
That's it. It's like saying that all Republicans are fucking evil white people that are like in their basements, like planning stuff for all their money that they apparently have. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, most conservatives or right-leaning people are pretty happy. The majority of people that are conservative, libertarians, are pretty happy people, man, that I've seen. A lot of them just want to be left alone. Just leave me alone, man. I don't care what you guys, just leave me alone. Don't take away this. Don't fuck with my freedoms. Don't mess with the Constitution, and I won't have nothing to say. The left is trying to force feed their ideology and change how people think. We're not really trying to change how you think. You think what you want. That's your right. Just don't force it down. Don't force feed it down my throat. Once you start trying to force feed me, telling me I'm a racist or I'm Uncle Tom or I'm a coon, you're trying to force feed me or you're trying to shame me to think like you.
Yeah. And they do that to you on like a daily basis. Like, what was that last comment that you got recently about you and your boo now saying like good luck having your white babies or something like that? What was that?
Yeah, it was something like good luck. It was on TikTok. Good luck having your white, or good luck enjoying your white grandchildren. I was just like, that has got to be the stupidest fucking comment I've ever read. For one, for two, the black skin is a dominant skin color. So 99% of the time, even if neither one of us want to have kids, but if we did, what do you think that baby's going to come out looking like?
Mulatto, probably.
Mulatto.
Yeah,
looks like a white baby
it's because you're half already.
Yeah.
Mexican and black, so then add the little white mixture in there, it's going to get a little shader lighter, but that's about it. Like,
yeah, look at my son, what I mean? Like, he's a good example of that, but he's still, and when you look at him, you probably either think he's Hispanic or he might be mixed. You can't really tell with him, but they know.
It could go either way, I think.
Yeah, it's just funny how the left is so quick to shame anybody, anyone that does not agree with their ideology. You think about that video you posted on the Hooch, where they walked into a bunch of white kids, walked into a outdoor restaurant, and was forcing this lady, trying to force her to put up the communist fist. It's not the Black Power fist. It's
and the one you brought up earlier about the people, they went into another restaurant. Where was it? Was that New York or something else? I don't remember. Was it Portland? Anyway, so they went into the restaurant and they started fucking flipping tables and shit and just basically destroying their environment. Like, why go into somebody's business who is just trying to make money, especially in COVID, right? Like, everybody's having a fucking hard time with their businesses. And these people are like, okay, we've already lost majority of our revenue from them shutting down our business. We can't fucking work. And then they finally get a chance to actually open shit up. And then now they're like, oh yeah, let's just go in here, riot, throw a bunch of shit, burn some stuff down. And it's like, so now they don't have the money to fix it. And then they have to deal with the insurance companies. And if you've ever dealt with business insurance ever, you know that shit doesn't work very well. There's a lot of hoops you got to jump through. Yeah.
And you hear the same argument all the time. Well, if they burn it down, they have insurance. And we talked about this last week. Yeah. And I'm like, so if I shoot a protester or a looter, does he have life insurance?
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Does he have life insurance? You know, because that's exactly what the hell's going to happen.
It's like me going to your house and going and burning it down. It's like, well, you have insurance, right? It's okay. Like, I just went to use your bathroom and then I burnt it down.
Nothing to do with the insurance. See, what they don't understand about, especially houses or businesses, there's a lot of freaking things in those places that people that have certain value to them. You know, I'm not talking about a table. I'm not talking about a chair. I'm not talking about alcohol. There could be certain pictures that people hang in their establishments that are worth a lot of money, that is irreplaceable. So if somebody came in my house and burnt my house down because they're looting, there's things in my house that I will never get back.
Yep.
And insurance it's not going to get it back.
And, you know what I mean? So, insurance isn't going to bring back the 40 years of hard work some people put into their businesses, especially mom and pop shops. Like, come on, man. Or even restaurants that have been there for 40 plus years. Like they came, especially if they were immigrants too, right? They came over here, they brought their mama's best recipe, right? They built this place up for 40 years. Everybody loves it. 5 stars across the board. And these people just come in here and burn it down in one night. And your 40 years of hard work is gone.
For no reason. It's been there for 40 years, and you didn't have a problem with it 5 years ago. All of a sudden, you have a problem with it now. You know, this has nothing to do with police brutality, man. These are fucking Marxists, anarchists. This is paid for. Yeah. And I'm glad freaking Rand Paul is trying to follow the money, man. You follow the damn money, and you'll find out who's funding this shit.
And it's true. If you like, there are legitimate tourists. That's what you call them. They are riot tourists. They go to these places in order to cause destruction and mayhem. They're not there for a noble cause. They're there to cause destruction. That's all they have planned for. They came there to hunt. They came there to burn. That's it. And to say that these are peaceful protesters, that they're mostly peaceful, 93% of all protests are peaceful, is like, yeah, but what about the other percentage that isn't, that kill people? There's 30 plus people that have died in the riots right now, right? And so what about them? They're mostly peaceful that these people died in. You know, what about the black retired police captain that was shot and killed? Right? He was protecting his buddy's business. That's the only reason he was there.
Yep.
Nobody gives a shit about him.
Nobody gave a damn. You know, they're praising this freaking guy that shot the freaking, you know, the Patriot Prayer guy. Then he ended up getting smoked by the cops. Yeah. You know, now they're going to do nothing but make him a martyr. You know, these fucking anarchists, man, I'm telling you, their day is coming. And, you know, and there's a lot of Americans out there just waiting. And we kept saying this. We keep saying this. You keep poking the fucking bear, man. Eventually, just like the cops did with the Cayo kid, they're going to back the hell off.
Yeah. And
they're going to back off.
I'm going to bring that section of the Portland shooting in the second half, because I wanted to dive a little bit more into it, because there's new information that came out from that, of showing premeditation with this. But that's not the only thing that's happened recently, is the fact that they were holding a vigil for for this guy, and another person came in and ran through and fucking ran them over. They were peacefully assembled to have a vigil for this individual, and somebody ran them over. Like that's where we are in society right now. That's where we are in the United States. Is we are in a point of almost no return. Like how do you justify any of the violence that is happening right now? You can't. Because it's not peaceful anymore. This is civil war, and if you haven't noticed, at least call it a civil conflict, because that's what we're in. The ideologies are so diametrically opposed that there is no reconciliation, at least at this point.
And it's not going to stop, man.
Yeah.
You wait until November. You wait until people are trying to go vote in person. Mark my fucking words. These anarchists are going to be at these voting centers, intimidating people not to go in and vote. You'll see.
Yeah. Unless they're voting for Biden, then you can't vote anything else.
It's not going to matter. They're going to shut it down completely. It doesn't matter who you're voting for, because they don't know. They just see people lined up to go vote. You're going to stand.
But that's why they went the mail-in ballots.
Yep, and they're going to shut it down, and they're going to force the election to be counted based off mail-in ballots.
And that was one of the things that was brought up in that article before, is like all these if we have too many mail-in ballots, then there's going to be uncertainty into the election. I mean, we have absentee ballots. We've had those for years, even though I've never gotten them, and I know Michael hasn't ever gotten them when he was overseas, never got those absentee ballots. Because, they just apparently get lost in the fucking system. Like, just poof, they're gone. And like magic fucking markers and shit. Like, they're just... So, like, I don't understand how you could imagine a national election sending these ballots to anybody and everybody. Absentee ballots are requested. These ballots will not be. We have no idea who's going to receive them. Not a damn clue of who's going to get them.
That's right.
So,
and here's the thing. What you have to worry about is that when they're mailing these ballots out, they know what party they know what party you're affiliated with when they mail them.
Yeah.
The post office knows, man. That's how you register to vote a lot of times. So they know. They're going to be like, oh, Michael Harris. Oh, he's a registered Republican. We'll put his to the side. We'll mail his late. Oh, we'll mail theirs late. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, these Democrats are going to mail those early. So they're going to mail them, but we're going to get ours so late to where they're not even going to get there on time.
Yeah, they're not going to be counted at all.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest problem with this, is that there's going to be so many counting to have happen that we will not know who wins in November. We won't know until the electors get sent. But then, as the article says in there, is they will send 2 different delegates from both sides, and then nobody will know who it is. And then it'll be left up to the House. And then guess who's in the House and controls all that stuff? Nancy Pelosi, who impeached the guy that they're trying to replace, but whatever.
Yes, get her hair did.
Yeah. Which I'm going to talk about that on the second part of the break. But, yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it there for this time. I'll bring it back up on the other side. Yeah. We'll see you on the other side, guys. Be sure to check out the Facebook page at The Hooch Podcast to follow along with new releases every week, as well as check out our Teespring store, where we have awesome apparel, as well as the Hooch Podcast on Anchor FM. You can check it out here, or you can go on Spotify and iTunes, as well as Google Play. Anyway, we'll be back in a second. Hey, welcome back to the other side of the episode, guys. Yeah, so I don't understand Facebook's apparent need to regulate everything, even to the point that they're not allowing any support for Kyle Rittenhouse at all. Like, that is, we are demanding that everybody respect our rules and not support Kyle Rittenhouse in any way. He is a mass murderer. That's according to Facebook. Like, it is not a jury of his peers. That's just what it is now. He is now a mass murderer according to Facebook, because they are the law of the world. We recently got hit with a strike because of this particular meme here, which apparently goes against community standards. Which, if you didn't know, is the Time Machine one where the dude's giving George Washington, an AR, which I think is great, because that's what I would do if it was me.
Hell yeah, I would.
I don't understand. I really don't, because like that's bad, because that's history. But then you've got this one that we also posted, which is everybody that I don't like is Hitler, writing a sled with a fucking rainbow. But apparently George Washington getting an AR is where we draw the line. That's the line.
That's it.
That's the line. Is history being given George Washington getting, ARs? I don't know.
Hitler in pajamas at that.
The world doesn't make sense. 2020 doesn't make sense, and I am unhappy about that, to say the least. All the COVID restrictions are a fucking joke. Facebook's a fucking joke. Even though we use Facebook all the time, and that's where the majority of our likes come from and views come from. But I just wish they would just be MySpace, man. Just let us do our own fucking thing. Let's code a little bit. Let's make our cool sparkly walls like we used to have back in the day, 20 years ago. Not 20 years ago.
I forgot MySpace actually taught people how to code.
It did. I mean, you remember the background music and everything, and you had to go in there and make it all cool. Like that was the thing.
That was cool as hell.
MySpace still.
Tom, if you're listening, come back to us.
Right, Tom, come back.
MySpace back.
That's what I wish, is that free platform when the internet was the Wild West and there wasn't a bunch of people controlling everything. But that's where we are right now. Big tech controls everything. Everything comes from there. But you can threaten people on Twitter as long as you're on the left. As long as you're Antifa, you can organize and get funding for bulletproof vests, sappy plates, and all that stuff, and other organizational keys, which would be considered, funding for terrorism. But that's okay. But God forbid you say Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong, because then you'll get banned.
That's exactly right. That's the world we live in, man. And the truth is going to come out eventually, and it's going to come soon. And it's going to come very quick, and it's going to blow people's minds when the truth is actually thrown out there. And they're going to see a lot of these big tech companies. You see celebrities doing now. They're running and hiding in their little dungeons. So they're coming for big tech too. So beware.
Eventually, all this stuff's gonna blow over in November anyway. Like, COVID's gonna go away after November. Like, we'll see it in December. They'll be like, okay, well, that's done now. All the cases are going down, so we're fine. Everybody's fine. Especially if Biden wins, like, COVID goes away like that. It's just done.
Oh yeah,
everything's done. We're all done.
So does everything else. So does the very fabric of America. It goes away also if he can make it past Christmas.
Even if Biden loses.
The hair standing on my legs and corn pop. I put a chain around his head and not me, man. Come on, man.
I like how everybody ignores the fact that he is talking about beating basically a black man in the 50s.
Yeah.
Like, now nobody calls that out as being like, maybe you shouldn't say that, Joe, that you were during segregation times chasing a black dude with a chain.
That's right. And
maybe you shouldn't say that.
His head.
Right?
Around his head.
That sounds kind of, I don't know, clannish, maybe a little. Just a little bit.
You should take the straight razors and bang them on the side, bang them on the pavement, and put them in a water barrel and get them all rusty. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Nobody talks about the fact that Joe Biden called little black kids roaches. Nobody talks about the fact that Joe Biden dropped a hard R, when he was talking about,
I don't want my kids growing up in a racial jungle.
No one wants to bring that up, but God forbid Donald Trump talk about grabbing somebody by the meat flaps and,
flaps.
Here we are.
The roast beef sandwich of delight. You can call it like that. I think the COVID situation is a joke now, especially what's been happening with Pelosi. But before that, I wanted to bring up this next one, which is the Northwestern University dismissing 11 first-year students after they were caught violating social distancing rules and keeping their $36,000 of tuition to themselves. Because, to me, that just says theft. Because, they arbitrarily have rules that was just instituted now saying that you can't be more than 6 feet apart from each other. That sounds like that, what was that during the day? It was like all those Christian ministry things. It's like, you have to have that 12-inch rule. You can't get touchy. That's what it reminds me of. Is just like people stay the fuck back.
Here's the question I have is about the 6 feet rule.
Yeah.
If we're wearing masks, why do we have to stay 6 feet from each other?
Because you can't touch your nasty hands against each other.
Why do we have to wear a mask?
Yeah. I don't know.
Mind blown.
Mind blown. But
these fuckers were talking about, where does this term social distancing even come from? Who made that up?
I think Fauci made that up. Who
we're going to create a term called social. Yeah, what can we call it? Social distancing. We're going to hide faces and hide lips, and we're going to make sure Americans can't even recognize who they're talking to anymore. And, just like, come on, man, dumb shit. Oh, no, now Apple has a new update to where you can wear a mask and we can still figure out who you are.
That should freak people out. I'm sorry. Like, if Apple could figure out who you are just by, like, looking at your eyes because they can't, get the rest of your face, is a bit scary. I'm just going to say that because I don't want them doing that. I mean, that's what China does. They collect all that data from people and track them. That's what they do. I don't want Big Brother after that.
You have to think about why it's being done, man. And they're talking about this vaccine. So, the vaccine they're talking about is going to be mandatory. That's
and Harris is like, I'm not going to get it if Donald Trump says it's good.
Yeah. But the thing is, so you're going to get this vaccine.
Yeah.
And they're going to force you to wear a mask. And they're saying for the next 2, 3, however long.
Until we say so.
At one point, it becomes a law.
Yeah.
You cannot take your mask off in a public place. Well, how is the only way they're going to be able to identify you?
Yeah.
There's only one way. If they put some type of chip in your fucking hand and you scan it, that's the only way they're going to be able to say who you are. And they're going to be like, well, there's no other way they can get a chip of somebody else in them. So this has to be this person. So that's where it's going to come down to. Face covering.
The pregnant lady that was in Australia, what was it? She got in trouble for posting something on Facebook because of the anti-lockdown stuff. And this what's been happening in Australia lately is that they're having issues with them. And so like it's when you see stuff like Nancy Pelosi and her bullshit come up with the salon owner saying that she owes her an apology for going to her place of business to get her hair blown out, apparently, or whatever they call it. I don't know, women stuff in terms of hair. I have no hair, see, because like I have no hair. I don't fucking go to salons anymore. And that doesn't apply to me.
I don't know. She's your typical narcissist, man. That's some narcissist shit. Yeah. One of the key things narcissists do is they shift blame, and they're not able to admit that they were wrong. Instead of her just coming out saying, you know what, I was wrong, 100%.
The whole rules for me, or rules for thee, but not for me.
Yeah, and I was set up. So
I was set up. I can't believe somebody recorded me when I was breaking my own rules about social distancing. I wasn't wearing a mask. She shouldn't have recorded me. It is a violation of my rights. It's like, bitch, you're the fucking Speaker of the House.
She's not getting reelected, though.
God, I don't know why people keep electing her Speaker of the House every time that the Democrats get the fucking House. Like, every fucking time. She was Speaker of the House last time.
And it's funny, if you go back to some of my posts, especially on my TikTok, some of my political posts, you always get these people to say, I'm an independent, Biden 2020.
No, you're not.
So you're an independent, so you're voting for Biden.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, he's a hardcore Democrat, and you must, most independent people that say they're independent either lean left or right. So technically, You just don't claim a party, but your ideology is still leaning a certain way. So ex facto, you're either a Republican or a Democrat. You just call yourself fucking independent.
Or a libertarian. Yeah, because that's kind of the biggest argument that's happening right now online is that, people are making fun of libertarians because they're going to vote for Joe Jorgensen. It's like, no, because like the biggest thing is like people are like, your vote is just going to go to Biden if you vote for Joe Jorgensen, or the opposite way. It's, if you're not voting for Biden, then you're voting for Trump. And it's like, no, I'm voting for who I want to fucking vote for. You cannot shame me into voting for somebody else that I don't want to fucking vote for. I don't knock libertarians for doing that. If they want to fucking vote for Joe Jorgensen, vote for Joe Jorgensen. That's your right. You can do that. You can absolutely do that. You can also just write on the piece of paper, poo for president. You could do that. You can absolutely fucking do that. Or you can vote Harambe, because that's what they did in 2016. There was 36,000 people that actually voted for Harambe in 2016. Like, you can fucking do that. That's your vote.
But at the end of the day, man, like on a serious note, Donald Trump is going to win in a fucking landslide. You got to think about, back when he first ran, he didn't have the freaking amount of people.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the dude, man. Like, he's going to I think he's going to win the popular vote. He's definitely going to win the popular vote in a landslide. And he's going to win.
Especially with everything that's happening with the riots for the last 3 months.
Yeah. 80%. He's going to win at least 80% of the electoral college. And he's going to take about 90% of the states.
I think he's going to win a lot of the states that he didn't get in 2016, especially with Biden being the way that he is. It was a poor candidate. The Democrats were not trying to win this one. And if you think they were really trying, this is not it. If they really were trying, they should have ran fucking Bernie. If they were really trying. If they really were trying. Or they should have ran somebody like Yang or Tulsi. Tulsi would have been a really good one, in my opinion, because Tulsi. Tulsi would have been the perfect choice because he couldn't get her for a bunch of shit. She didn't have the same sort of 40-year history of being in government that hasn't done dick all except lock black people up. Because if you don't believe that, he's the one that authored the crime bill. The one that locked up.
I can't believe he picked Kamala over Tulsi. I know, right? I wouldn't have voted for Tulsi personally because just her political leanings. It's not me. But I can't believe he picked Kamala.
Because she's an establishment Democrat. Like all of this is just a game. It's been a game from the beginning, and nobody fucking gets it. No. And that's why we're in such of a mess that we're in, especially with what happened in Portland. If you haven't seen recently, or you don't know, the guy that shot God, what was his? Why am I always forgetting names?
I know it's
Michael Forrest Reinhold is the guy that shot the Patriot Pear guy, right? And he was killed the other day on September 3rd after getting into a shootout with local federal authorities, right? And people are like, from the beginning of saying this guy did it in self-defense. He did it in self-defense. Everybody should say he was self-defense. It wasn't self-defense. Not in a fucking long shot was it self-defense. And new reports have come out and shown that it wasn't. According to the actual documents for his warrant for his arrest, as you can see in the photo, this is him. He is waiting and stalking his deals. Yeah, Danielson and Pappas, they were the two people that were there. Danielson was the one that was shot, right? He was waiting around the corner, stalking them. He already had the gun in his hand. That is not self-defense. That's premeditation, right? We can all agree that's premeditation. That is not even in the close realm of possibility of this being self-defense, especially when you look at the case with Kyle Rittenhouse and Kenosha. Like, they are two separate issues. This guy was an actual murderer. Kyle was not. Kyle Rittenhouse is not a murderer. He defended himself in self-defense. You could say it's manslaughter. Sure, I'll give you that one. Manslaughter. Write him up for that, but they're not. They're giving him premeditated murder. That's what they're calling Rittenhouse, is a premeditated murderer, instead of saying this guy who actually was. This guy was an actual premeditated murderer. Mm-hmm. But he ended up getting shot by the cops, so we will never see this in trial. So
and it's funny how Vice actually interviewed the guy.
Oh yeah, which is the most insane shit I've ever seen in my life.
Vice should be held accountable for, harboring a federal fucking fugitive.
They Vice themselves did not interview the guy. Apparently, from what I've seen and I've read,
that's the ghost of the murderer.
Yeah, apparently it didn't like that. Anyway, put that back up there. Anyway, so what Vice did is they actually got it from a third party source. So it wasn't their actual. The reporters on the ground, it was third party, so they usually buy it, and that happens a lot in media. Is there will be third party people that'll do stuff and get it, but at the same time, is they still ran it, which is definitely still pretty bad. It's like getting the Oklahoma City bomber on tape before he was arrested, and letting him do his manifesto for everybody to hear. So.
And he died that same day. So.
Yeah, he did. He did not turn himself out, and that's also another difference between him and Kyle. Right, is that Kyle tried to turn himself in that night. right? And then this guy shot the dude and ran. He did not turn himself in. The reason he says in the video interview is that he believes that the right wing controlled the cops, and so they were going to kill him anyway, and that's why he didn't turn himself in. It's like, no, you didn't want to fucking get arrested, dude. Like, that is the reason why you didn't want to turn yourself in, is because you didn't want to go to fucking jail for killing the dude. I don't know. It's like the world's turned upside down.
That's only the beginning, dude. I mean, like we've talked about this since the beginning of these riots and Antifa's rise to whatever power they think they have. We always say there's going to be that one shot heard across the world, and it's going to be that one time, and that's where it started, you know.
Yep.
And it started with Kyle. Well, it started long before that with the riots.
I think you're right. I think the shot heard around the world started with Kyle, and then it's just going to keep escalating from there, because we saw right after that it was Reinhold shooting Danielson, and that was the second escalation, because like his was like Kyle's was self-defense, but they still called it premeditation. And then somebody else extreme came out and said, you know what, since one for yours, one for mine, and so they attacked. Right? They were looking for a particular ideology, and that's why they attacked him. So, like, we're going to keep seeing this escalation. We've already seen it with the other attack. They were having a vigil for Danielson, and they ran them over, right? That was another attack. That was another ideological attack. But even then, on the ADL website, if you didn't know this, which is really funny, you cannot find any examples of left-wing extremism incidences. Not a zero. So, anyway, I there's so much things that are happening in the world that it just becomes insane. Like we can't just keep covering riots after riots after riots, like, because that's basically all the news cycle is these days. It's just nothing but left-wing extremism. We're stuck in this cycle. We can't get away from it now. But we'll I guess we'll find a way. We'll figure out in November what happens. But we're gonna leave it at right. Either way, we'll figure it out, and we'll leave it at that for this week. Mike, why don't you go ahead and take us out?
Hey, just make sure you guys get out there and vote. We're about 60 days away, man. So don't sit at home and be scared or intimidated by these left-wing anarchist assholes. You know, if your polling stations are open, get out there and vote in full force. Don't try to go there alone, and just protect yourself if you need to protect yourself, and don't be intimidated, because we are rugged Americans, and we will not stand down to any anti-American person.
Right? We will not negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah, make sure you guys are following me on the TikTok, the Bro Kitchen Guy. I'm moving up real quick. I'm at about 54,000 follows right now. I got a 30,000 bump from last week. So make sure you guys give me a follow, man. You like my content. A lot of it's I throw the hooch on there. A lot of it's politically based. A lot of it's military humor, cooking. I mean, I'm all over the place. So, I mean, you're going to find whatever tickles your fancy or tickles your taint when you watch it. And make sure you just follow, my other page, Grizzle Grunt. Make sure you follow, our Instagram and all that other stuff, or Twitter. And yeah, man, we're just here to put out good stuff and share our opinion with you guys.
Yeah, I mostly just talk. That's what I do. I used to be a personality when I was younger, but I think when I got older, I calmed down a lot. I don't have the ADD problems as much anymore. But hey, like I said, check out Michael's stuff. He does a lot of videos. He has lots of energy. Watch that. Anyway, so if you want a good laugh, you should do that for definitely. Anyway, we will see you guys next week. Hopefully there won't be more burning. I don't know. Maybe there won't be, but it probably will be. Anyway, we love you guys, and we'll see you next time. And
we're out.
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 According to your Facebook page, we aren't friends.